What's going on, Buff Nation? Welcome back to another video. So, to say it was a busy day would be an understatement for the Buffs. We got a lot to go over, a lot of players enter into the portal, and of course, what do you have? The haters come flooding out. And we're going to talk about today why the few players that left, what that means for the Buffs. Should you panic? And also, a big crystal ball came through. And then Shedeur Sanders, timely as ever, drops an absolute bombshell. Moments before I hit the record button, and I love it. You know what to do. Roll the intro. Now we're fired up and ready to go. It is showtime, boys and girls. So, unless you're living under a rock, quite aware of what happened today. The portal technically opens tonight at midnight, April 16th, meaning players can now go to, attend to a school or commit to a school, but players can enter into the portal basically announcing that they're in the portal at any time. So when the portal physically opens is where they can start to visit and communication can start to happen. But today, a couple hours before the portal technically opens, we see this happening. And of course, everybody comes out saying it's a sinking ship. Here they go. Everybody's leaving. Yada, yada, yada. Let's take a look at it. First being Isaiah Jada, I believe. Projected to start behind Jordan Seaton. True freshman 5-star guy. Okay? We projected this on our projections I was kind of back and forth between the two. Saw this coming. Now, and I'm going to get to this in just a moment. The depth is what's going to be affected here. But the talent they brought in, you should have expected to see some of these things. One that does surprise me a little bit is Savion Washington, but he was looking that he was going to be getting the back seat as well. Somebody who dealt with some injuries last year, obviously coming from Kent State when they had them all those guys come over. Thought he was going to be a pretty big caveat, especially playing with the team. Was the best offensive lineman last year. Not saying much though. Not saying much. So I'm not trying to say it's no big deal for losing these guys because again, the depth that you are losing is absolutely massive. However, the timing of it, I do like because you're letting everybody know moments before the portal opens that we're open for business. And again, I don't think Coach Prime is moving without kind of a backup plan, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Then we've got some defensive line guys in Dave Harris and Chaz Wallace. Chaz Wallace transferred in last year. Again, both of these positions, defensive lineman and the offensive lineman, had a ton of attrition and a ton of new guys coming in for both sides of the ball for Colorado. We've had some practices wear out over the last few weeks, the scrimmages in 2 weeks, and you're seeing these guys go. It's not by, because they're unhappy, because the situation isn't there, because things are falling apart. Because Coach Prime said, hey, this isn't going to work out. We're going to rock and roll. And if anybody has shown to have success to be able to pluck and pull whenever they need to be out of the transfer portal, it has been Coach Prime. Also, too, something that tells you a lot about somebody and their ability to do something is where they land after the fact. Go take a look at a lot of players that left Colorado in the past 2 years when everybody's panicking and losing their mind. Not to take a shot, but these guys weren't necessarily heading on over to Alabama or heading on over to Georgia or Michigan or Ohio State, landing on their feet in stride, okay? You got to believe taking a leap of faith this late in the season after the spring is already over, right? You've missed out on an entire time of practice, an entire opportunity of learning the playbook, strength and conditioning, etc. There's a lot of risk and chance that you're taking when leaving, okay? A lot of these positions are already filled in. So there's going to be a few guys that have success. Don't get it twisted, but it says a lot about, like, look, this just clearly I'm backs against the wall. I got to figure this thing out. Then, of course, they lose Jaden Miller at that DB position, which the DB position is probably the one position that they do not lack currently at all. Now, moments before I hit the record button, Shedeur Sanders tweets out this. Portal opens soon. Let's go. And with the little buffs. And again, it opens in about 2 hours here. Is anything going to happen at midnight? No. But do I think it's going to be a busy day tomorrow for a lot of people? Yes. Coach Prime and the Buffs, for sure, should be a busy day. But again, anybody trying to take a jab at this and panic, the one thing I will say on the offensive line is a position, again, that had many struggles last year, doesn't necessarily have the depth to be able to lose this attrition. But we'll see how they go after the portal. Like I just said, kind of a little counterintuitive. The guys that are going into the portal, not necessarily always the best and being able to move things in. But there is one team that has been very open to the transfer portal and being able to adapt and adjust. It would be the Colorado Buffs. This is their blueprint to bring guys in and adjust quickly. So in a weird way, it fits their mold, right? Because of how they've been building the system for the last year and a half now under Coach Prime. This is the process. So if there is a team that can make this thing work and have some success, I think it's going to be the Buffs. Now, on countering that, there was a crystal ball, aka a Fong bomb, which we've talked about before on this show with Steve Wiltfong. He did transfer over to On3 over the last few weeks here. Not sure if you guys were aware of this. He worked at 247. Now he's at On3. When the Fong bomb hits, it's usually a lock. It's like a 95% success rate that they are going to end up at that specific school. So Alex Graham, cornerback, 4-star, top 220 player, depending on where you're looking, has been crystal balled to the Colorado Buffs. Watching this young man's film, he floats at this position. Okay, he moves his body with ease. He's in complete control the entire time. Love his discipline. And it feels like the game moves very slow for him, again, watching his film, which you've got to love from a DB. You want that DB to be able to, in a sense, I always say this, work with that bird's eye view, right? They kind of almost like you're playing the game from a Madden perspective and you're able just to see everything without really moving your head too much. You just know what's happening and anticipating what's to happen next. Just watching him make these plays, move around from zone to coverage and to fill in these gaps, and then his hands. This big pick there, just ripping the ball out of the receiver's hands. And obviously plays a little bit of wide receiver. And that's what these guys do in high school. And look, DB talent and guys that are going to be going to Colorado, it's something that I say every single time. You got to think it's going to be top tier and be an electric play going to Colorado because, again, of Coach Prime. So getting great DBs to Colorado has never been and never will be, as long as Coach Prime is at Buffalo, a concern for the Buffs to be able to land, just again, because who is Coach Prime. Quarterbacks, too. Now, an interesting development here, and we'll continue to watch Alex Graham's film, is with the quarterback situation. And why I bring that up is Julian Lewis visited this past couple weekends ago, I believe, at Colorado. Why is that important? Why are we bringing this up? Well, Julian Lewis committed to USC, has been being poked at by Georgia, been poked at by Ohio State. Obviously, now Colorado is getting their head into the mix. The USC commitment was years ago, before, what this coaching situation is now. Committed to USC is kind of like, this is where I want to be. Today, Ryan Montgomery, quarterback, 4-star quarterback, has been Fong-bombed, back to the Fong-bomb, to Georgia. It seemed that South Carolina and Florida led the way, and now all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Ryan's been Fong-bombed to Georgia. Again, why does that matter? Leads me to believe that Kirby and the Dogs have pulled out of the Julian Lewis sweepstakes. Top-tier quarterback in this 2025 class. Number 1, 2, 3, depending on where you look again. So now that leaves 3 schools, in my opinion, for this Julian Lewis sweepstakes. Of course, Colorado, USC, and Ohio State. Ohio State, I feel like, has kind of lacked into quarterback development. So, I think that if we're looking at a development standpoint, you've got to like what you see at Colorado and what Coach Prime's been able to do with Shedeur. And then, again, it's going to be tough for USC and Lincoln Riley in the quarterback development. They can't figure out a defense or how to win big-time games, but quarterback development is top tier nonetheless. The guy has produced 3 or 4 Heismans. And Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams, Spencer Rattler was part of that mix. Did not win the Heisman, but a top-tier quarterback at the time. Again, a lot of talent that Lincoln Riley has been able to get his hands on. So that's going to be a tough one to pull away from, but very interesting that a big dog like Georgia has pulled away. So definitely something to keep an eye on as the next few months develop. And again, we're getting right into the mix of things where the portal's going to start to heat up. Recruiting is going to start to heat up here. Alex Graham is one of those, is a 2025 guy. 2025 class has been a little bit slower. Again, not too many recruits from the 2024 class. Would like to see a few more, but again, we know the process of what Coach Prime is doing, how he's attacking the portal and the recruiting cycle. So we'll see how it plays out. Again, 2 weeks until we have our spring game. And look, could we see some more guys enter into the portal? Yeah, absolutely. Coach Prime, again, the one thing that I love about him, we've been watching this entire time, is very transparent, always tells you how it is, lets you know his process and things, and he's never been shy about, he's going to continue to shop and go and attack the things and who he wants in the portal. The fact that Shedeur just tweeted that literally minutes ago tells me he's got a pulse on some things. All right. Typically, when he tweets like that, it's because he understands what's going on. I don't think he's too concerned with what's happening. Again, the 2 offensive linemen that left were part of the worst offensive line in college football last year. Not missing too much. D-line, again, wasn't the most effective. You bring in a whole new crew of guys and immediately 2 guys that were in there last year now leaving should tell you a lot about where the program is headed. And not what the haters are saying, but if you're actually watching the games, following along with what's happening, and understanding what Coach Prime is trying to build, got to be excited for what is to come. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, this next week and a half or so should be busy. I think it's open for another 30 days. So we're going to definitely keep an eye on the transfer portal, but I think it's going to get hot early. Also, we're going to keep eyes on the visits and the list that does come through, if there are any from the transfer portal, because we know how we like to get on the show with the list and visits to Colorado during the transfer portal time. Should be an interesting one. This, in a way, in my opinion, is the recruiting cycle for the Buffs. The portal season is going to be their biggest time. This is going to be that second recruiting season for the Buffs. So making room to go fill that pantry up. We'll see how it works out. See you guys in the next one. Peace and love, baby. Like and sub.